Hey guys, it's Generalkidd here. How's everyone doing today? So, it's actually been quite some time since I've done one of these videos. So, for today's video, we'll be doing another tech review. And you'll actually be seeing quite a few more of these going forward in the future as I try and do stuff out for my channel. But, for this particular video, I will be reviewing the INNOCN 15.6-inch 15K1F monitor. And what's special about this monitor is that it's not just any monitor, it is actually a portable monitor. But it's not just any portable monitor. I've reviewed a few of those in the past, and they're all actually pretty interesting for their use cases, and actually turn out pretty well for gaming. But for this particular monitor, this time it is an OLED monitor. And you may have heard a lot of stuff about OLED displays before, and OLED displays, they do look really nice. There's a lot of really nice OLED TVs out there. They're usually on the pricier range of TVs, but the image quality, everybody definitely says it's worth it. Now, what about on a smaller display, though? Well, that is what we have here. And this, the folks at INNOCN were actually very nice enough to send me one of these monitors for review. So I will be checking it out and see how good an OLED display looks at this size. And of course, because this is primarily a Halo channel, we will be seeing how well Halo Infinite looks on an OLED display. Because I've heard a lot of things about Infinite on OLED, and supposedly it looks very, very beautiful. So let's get started with the unboxing. So like with previous INNOCN monitors I've reviewed in the past, the packaging is pretty basic. It's nothing too fancy, but again, as I said in the past, you don't buy monitors for the boxes. I mean, at least I don't think you do. I mean, if for some reason you do actually buy a monitor and you throw out the monitor but keep the box, well, then I guess this isn't for you then. But anyways, so inside the box, this is, like I said, this is actually a much simpler packaging than even some of the previous ones. So in here, we have this box, which I assume is where all the accessories are, and the carrying case. So let's open this first before we get to the monitor real quick. Okay, so as I suspected, this is indeed the carrying case for the monitor, as well as the kickstand. It doubles as both. Oh, it's actually like a whole, like, it's not just like a one of those like back covers for the monitors. It's actually a whole like case, almost like a phone case, with you know the kickstand in the back. So I will put the monitor in here in a bit. Let's actually get to the monitor first. So this does have a factory calibration report to tell you that all the specs are correct and it should function correctly. Very interesting. And last but not least, well, not the last part in here, but we have the monitor itself. But before I unwrap it, we also have manual in here, and this is the accessories with the cables. So this monitor is powered by USB-C, and it comes with a USB-C power cable, as well as the power brick for the USB-C. So all the accessories you need are all included. Okay, so as you can tell by this mess of cables I have here now, I have completely unpacked everything else, and we are all mostly set up and almost ready to go. But first, the monitor itself is here. It's a very nice build quality. It's not like plastic or anything. It's actually it's like some kind of really nice metal. It's either aluminum or something like that, but it is a very nice metal case, and the screen looks very nice too. There are a couple bezels on the sides, especially towards the bottom. There's a very big bezel, but it's not that bad. The bezels are relatively small, except for the one at the bottom. But it's definitely not an edge-to-edge display. But it's otherwise not too bad along the top and the left and right edges. So let's see. The monitor is, as you can see, very thin. It does have dual speakers on the side, so it's fully packed with all those features. You don't need headphones for this, although you probably still could use you might even prefer to use headphones actually if you're gaming. But just in case, it does have speakers on it. And like I said, it's got 2 USB-C ports and a mini HDMI port. So let's get this fully set up then. Okay, so before we get into Halo Infinite, do you want to show a few of the specs of the monitor? So it is a 1080p monitor, and it has a refresh rate of 60 Hz, but it does have a 1 millisecond response time, which is actually not bad for gaming. So unfortunately it's not a 4K monitor, but at this size, I've heard from a lot of people, and it does seem to be true, that at this size of display, it doesn't really matter if you're at 4K or 1080p. So in this case, it's fine. And of course, what matters most is the OLED display. So speaking of that, it does seem like, at least on the Xbox Series X, that it does not does not support HDR from the Xbox. So unfortunately, we won't be able to use full HDR mode. But colors are, naturally better, or I guess more vibrant, or at least less washed out on an OLED display compared to a regular LCD display. So we'll see. We'll see that this even makes an improvement even without HDR enabled. So let's get into the game now. Okay, so we're now in the open world of Halo Infinite, and well, yeah, I mean, actually, the image looks very nice. That being said, because I could not enable HDR for this, it's not quite the same as if HDR were enabled, but it does look nicer than if it were on like a non-OLED display. So I think just being an OLED display does help the image quality and like how vibrant it looks. But unfortunately, without the full HDR ability, at least for the Xbox Series X, I cannot. I guess it could be better. That's what I'm trying to say for the image quality. But at 1080p and on an OLED display, this does look much. It is still an improvement than over a regular display. So I'm actually not sure if the lack of HDR support is because the monitor doesn't support it, or because the Xbox doesn't support HDR below 4K resolutions. Because I actually don't know of many displays below 4K that also support HDR. It's kind of rare, so I'm not sure if it's like an Xbox kind of thing. But yeah, this is with no HDR. However, it does still look very nice. So not bad at all. As for the responsiveness, like I said, it is a 1 millisecond response time, and the display is also running at 60 Hz. So at 60 Hz, that's pretty typical if you play on like a TV. Most TVs out there, if you game on a TV, those will also be at 60 Hz. So you're not going to notice anything worse than like a TV for a refresh rate. But if you're going from like a 144 Hz monitor or even higher, then you might 60 Hz is probably going to be a bit of an adjustment for you in that case. But for a lot of console players, I imagine a lot of people play on 60 Hz TVs, so it's probably not going to be a huge detriment. As for the speakers are not too loud, actually. I already have it set to max volume. I'm not sure how well this phone is picking up the speakers, but yeah, it's already at max volume, and the sound, I'm standing like a couple feet away from it. It's not too bad, actually. But if you're not gonna be sitting up close to it, you'll definitely need to have the volume always at max. Otherwise, this sound is gonna be a little harder to hear if you're too far away. But like I said, this monitor does support headsets, and if you're using an Xbox, you probably already have a headset plugged into your controller, so it doesn't really matter. But if you're sitting up close, then the speakers are fine, but you're just gonna want them to be like maxed out the whole time. Okay, so that about wraps up for this review. So I guess to sum it up before I give my final thoughts on it, like I said, this is a 15.6-inch portable monitor, and it's an OLED display. and it has a contrast ratio of basically 100,000 to 1, which is very good. I mean, it's an OLED display, so that's to be expected. And it is a 60 hertz monitor, but it does have a 1 millisecond response time. So as far as gaming goes, it's suitable for gaming. It's not advertised specifically for gaming. It's not really designed specifically for gaming. In fact, on their listing, it actually says I think it's meant for like more for like creators or like artists, people that use like Photoshop or video editing and stuff like that. It's actually very suitable as a second monitor. But of course, on this channel, this is primarily a gaming channel, so I do like to put things to the test with gaming, and we could see that for gaming with Halo Infinite, in this case, it does actually get a job done well. So that's something to consider if you do want to get a monitor like this. It really depends on your purpose. It really is meant for creators, but if you are getting it for gaming, you will still get a suitable experience for gaming. But it may not be the most ideal, especially because on a console, some consoles like the Series X don't seem to support HDR on this, and it's not clear to me that the monitor actually supports HDR. It doesn't quite like mention that, so it's possible that the monitor's never had HDR to begin with, but being an OLED display by nature, it does make up for that a little bit. But if you can get full HDR working on this, then I'm sure it'll look a lot better. Huge improvement there. So yeah, to sum it up, my final thoughts on this is that this is a very nice monitor. The build quality is very nice. The monitor itself is very nice. The box, like I said earlier, is it's pretty no frills, but that's not an issue. But the monitor itself, very nice. Image quality, very good. I mean, it's OLED, so that's a huge plus there. But for gaming, it doesn't have all the features to kind of take full advantage of like a game console like the Series X. But for gaming, it still gets the job done. But I mostly recommend it for creators or people who want like a portable second display for like a laptop or something. So if you bring a laptop around with you, then you can still have a second monitor, because we all know 2 monitors are better than 1. But if you're just getting it for gaming, it's you'll still get a fine experience, especially if you're like a Steam Deck or like a portable console. This is actually perfect for that. But I would not quite recommend it for a major console. But handheld console or like a Switch or something like that, then perfect. So up to you guys. But it's a monitor itself is definitely very nice. And like I said, it just depends on your needs and what purpose you want to use it for. So yeah, that wraps up for this video, and hopefully you guys enjoyed and found this to be interesting. If you're interested in this monitor, I will drop the link down to it in the description below. But aside from that, I will see you all next time. Bye guys.